All right, we're live,
There
Chris.
we're live.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Off the Hook Outdoors podcast. Chris, welcome in.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we have a couple guests tonight. We have my buddy Chris from City Sticker Chris,
Hmm.
and we are waiting for Kyle. He's going to be a little bit late. He was in the woods with his son this evening, so he is going to be a little bit late. But we are going to be talking about the October Lull, Chris. So I know you and I have sort of the same, I think the
Some
same
some opinions about it.
opinions. Of course, we are not experts. I am not a professional hunter in any way, but we want to talk about this. I think it's an important topic. I have some. I have some literature that I researched and stuff like that, so I'll be bringing that up today in our topics, and we're going to see Kyle's view on it as well when he gets up here. So but first, what I want to do is I want to just talk about our hunts in the past here, like leading up to today. Like I know
Mhm.
you were out in the woods this morning and this
Yep.
evening. So
Hmm.
if you want to start with just what's been going on in the woods, give me your experiences from from whenever you want to go back a couple
Well,
hunts or whatever.
we'll just say that today was the opener for small game and archery bear
Nice.
coincides with archery season.
Hmm.
So I went to an area today that I was sitting in last Saturday, and if they watched your last time you and I were together on here,
Hmm.
I had mentioned that last Saturday morning I had 4 bears come in on me.
Yep.
And so, obviously I wanted to try this spot again just in case they came back.
For sure.
And I've gotten some bears in the past with a bow, and I was looking to maybe score again this morning. But the main thing I was doing, I was sitting over a scrape, a mock scrape that I had made, and they had taken over. And every once in a while, I'll go in and change a card, and I'll squirt a little bit of something in it, keep them coming back.
Yep.
So anyhow, last weekend when I was sitting there before the bears came in, first thing in the morning, about 10 minutes before light, I had a buck come in, read the script, man. It just perfect. He come right into my scrape and was messing around in there for a little while, but it was a little tight.
Hmm.
And so he walked away. Well, this morning, same thing. About 10 minutes before dark or before light, I should say, I had two shadows coming through the dark right for my scrape, and they uh, they came in, and she went right for the scrape and went over and sniffed it out, and they stayed in the area 25 minutes right underneath me,
Wow.
like literally I could spit on them.
Yeah.
They were right underneath me, and I was frozen, not only from the cold but from stiff from sitting there trying not to move, and she
Yep.
just would not leave. I don't know if she wasn't wanting to leave the scrape, or if she just like maybe a sixth sense, like knew something was up with me and was like trying to make me move or something. I don't know, but she stayed there for a very long time. Like I said, it was 25 minutes. When I looked at my phone, she was under me.
Wow.
And she just kept making loops, and she went back over to the scrape 2 times, sniffed it out, and then came back to me. I mean, it was just it was kind of a weird thing. And then later on in the day, I had another doe come in behind me there, and so I had just seen the three this morning, and I got done and I came home and did some stuff around the house, and then I went back out about 4:30 or so across the road to some destination plots that I have. And of course, there's lots of food there, and there's lots of deer there, and it was so hot that I really wasn't. I'm gonna be honest. I really wasn't interested in shooting a deer tonight.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
it was that warm up your way.
yeah, it was 68 when I went out
Yeah,
at 4:30.
I went to my nephew's baseball game today,
Mm.
and it was warm this afternoon for sure.
Yeah, it was 68, and I dang near worked up a sweat trying to get
Uh-huh.
it. And what I did tonight is I just went into a double man stand that I had set up for my boy and I to hunt
Hmm.
out of when he goes with me with a crossbow. Um, And I just thought, why? Every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut. Who knows? I'll just go out and chance it, and maybe a nice buck will walk by, just checking things out. And like I said, I wasn't really interested in shooting one unless I got lucky and one would come through. Well, I had lots of deer on the plot coming and going, and at last light there, like it was probably too dark to shoot, but I had what I'm pretty sure was two half decent bucks come off the plot and walk underneath me to my left and around behind my tree. And there's a gas line there, and I think they walked up the gas line there right behind me.
Okay.
So had it been day, enough light to shoot, I could have maybe seen which ones they were, because I have lots of trail camera intel going on over there. And to be honest, it was dark enough that I couldn't tell which ones they were. So, but I could see that they had racks. So, who knows what could have happened if I had some daylight? But like
you
I
got
said,
some
as
nice
warm
ones.
as it was.
You got some nice pictures of some nice bucks. Are you hunting that area yet? Like where you sent me some pictures of those big bull, nice shooter bucks in there.
Yeah, a couple of those. Those ones were on that scrape this morning that I hunted.
Okay.
Those two that I put in that post.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the stand I hunted this morning. And what I failed to mention was I put my magic potion in there the night before.
Okay.
Because I hunted it Friday night.
Yeah.
I hunted it Friday night, and when I left, I squirted my potion in it. Not anybody's brand, the stuff I made. I put my stuff in that scrape, and then she come right in, and she had to check it out twice, man. She was so interested.
Now that's
stuck
interesting.
Around for 25 minutes. It was interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm having fun making that crap. Whether or not it works or not, I don't know.
Well, I put it in my scrape, Chris. I put your magic.
I sent Ted a bottle.
Yeah, and I used it
the
the
stuff
other day.
that I made. Yep. And we'll see if he gets any pictures on it on his cameras.
Yeah, I'm actually going to try to pull the camera cards tomorrow. I'm going to probably pull the one camera that's down low on the hillside, and I'll just keep my one on the scrape going, and I'll get pictures from that. And I may go up and just tinker around with it a little bit and add something else to it tomorrow if I have time. I'm supposed to be getting on another live stream tomorrow at like 3:00, but I got all kinds of stuff going on. So I'm on another Gary Joe Bain Tackle wants me to go on there because he's interviewing some hunter or something. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna probably get on there tomorrow. So a little bit busy, but yeah. I mean it's October, man, and anything can happen now. The weather's changing. Yeah. You know what I mean? That cool weather. My dad was out today. He had 3 doe this morning, and a fox, and then this evening he went down. He actually made a scrape with the Jinxum scent. Boom, boom. He got the Jinxum scents down there, and he put it out, and he went back up this evening, and he seen 1 doe only with a fox came back in and laid under the pear tree. So not too much action, but it's it's October, but it's still not that time. You know what I mean? Like
no, not at all. I mean, I seen 2 different bucks chasing does, but they're not chasing hard. They're just interested, and they're just harassing them a little bit. That's all. I mean, it's definitely not here.
Yeah, and
but in another 2 weeks, it'll be a whole different story.
Yeah, and the moon. They're
gonna start chasing.
What's up, Kyle? I sent you the link, Kyle. I don't know if you want to get on. Or do you want me to just share the link in here and you can jump on as well? Whatever you want to do, Kyle. Whenever you're ready, just let me know. But the moon, Chris, you get a lot of. That's why the moon is in this thumbnail and stuff like that, because right now we got the October Lull, maybe.
Yeah. And what do you think about the moon?
I tell you what.
Because I'll give you my opinion if you want to hear it.
From the pictures that I have and the pictures that my buddy has. Now, my buddy hunted early this season to try to get that big one he calls Goliath. I mean, it's a big 8-point. I'll send you that picture in the chat here, but give me a few minutes. All right, just let me know, Kyle, when you're ready, and I'll share the link. So according to the pictures and according to what everybody says about the moon, midday activity is its highest when there's a full moon. Okay. So, and if you look at deer cast and the best deer times, it goes up from like, not as the week moves on, it's like 9 to 2 or 9 to 11, 10 to 12, 11 to 1. It just goes up throughout the day with the moon. But I haven't pulled my camera since I shot my buck, and I'll explain that one in a second here because it was a pretty good hunt. But my buddy's not getting daylight pictures in Ohio of anything during the day. Okay,
No.
So we're sort of, it was the red moon, and then those big 200-inch guys that always say the red moon, the hunter's moon, and all that stuff to shoot your biggest buck and this, that, and the other. Right now, from the intel that we have, the moon, I probably won't ever schedule a vacation around a full moon, put it that way.
No, no, I do not agree with the whole moon guide and all that stuff. Just based on 39 or 40 years that I've been hunting.
Yep.
I have never shot anything under the full moon. And as a matter of fact, I don't like hunting the week with the full moon because, like I said, with my experience that I have noticed that I have actually less sightings on a full moon. Just maybe it's just me. I don't know, but that's according to me. That's what my record is.
Yeah, and that could
be go on record by saying that. I should say,
yeah,
I'm going to go on record by saying I see less deer on the full moon than, especially after the moon starts to fade again. After the full moon, it gets better and better.
Yeah, as it goes. And I think, Chris, too, it depends on where you're hunting, where your stand locations are. If you're hunting food, if you're hunting bedding, if you're hunting transitions, there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes into play with the full moon. Hey, John, thanks for coming in. I wanted to, real quick, John just popped in here. I don't know if he wants me to say this or not, but Lindia hit her PB bass today. It was like a 913. Man.
Oh, wow. That's a big one.
It's a big one. He put a couple shorts out. So anybody that's listening to this chat, make sure you go over Small Water Charters and check out.
She's the champ.
This thing is a beast. She held it up like a baby. That's how big this thing was.
She's the champ.
But going back to that full moon,
it's never worked out for me.
I'll explain my hunt and my theory behind what I did. I think it was Thursday I shot mine. Was it Thursday?
It's either Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. Whenever the full moon was, it was either, I think the full moon was Wednesday night. So I think it was Thursday morning, because Thursday was the coldest day this week. Okay. It was 38. It was supposed to go down to 38 degrees. So I scheduled my hunt because right now I'm a morning hunter. Okay. And I can't hunt evenings right now. And everybody says don't hunt them. We had that little conversation about the October mornings. And I can't hunt evenings because I work 3 to 11:30. And my only time is during the week with the mornings. Okay. So I picked and choose my week, when I'm hunting. And this week was the full moon on Wednesday night. My buddy went down Thursday, Friday, because we had his father passed away. So this weekend, he came back home. So I didn't go down to Ohio this weekend. And I'm sort of kind of glad I didn't, because there was no action because of the moon phase. Okay.
Right.
So now I have to look at my cameras down there as well. But my reasoning behind everything was, okay, so full moon Wednesday night. It's going to be the coldest it's been all year so far during the hunting season. That morning, Thursday morning. So I scheduled my hunt for Thursday morning. Because I figured the deer are out all night because of the full moon. They're feeding. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, and that's the coolest morning it's going to be. So I'm figuring those deer are going to stay out a little bit longer because I'm hunting right next to a bedding area. I'm hunting like a transition zone from feeding to bedding. And you know how I hunt down here, Chris. I'm hunting small wood plots with funnels and stuff like that. So I'm right on a point in the transition area, and the bedding is to my left. And it's the thickest in that area. So I'm taking the funnel that they're coming from feeding, and feeding it isn't like they're out in the fields eating. They're they're in yards eating apples and people's gardens and stuff like that. And they're coming back into this wood lot, and they're bedding in there. So I figured I'm in there. It's going to be the coldest morning. If anything hangs up and comes in late, I will see them. And I
Right.
was planning on seeing them early, just as it got light out, or the first maybe hour of light, and then that was it. I was done. I was going to stay till 9:30, 10 o'clock, and get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in my stand, and it was I got in my stand at 6:20, and I sat there till about 10 after 7. And it was a full moon, so it was like they call the vampire walk. You walk in, but I didn't need a light or nothing. I mean, it was
Right.
pretty bright out, and you know how your eyes adjust, and it was just I could see everything. I didn't need a headlamp. So I get into my stand, get ready, and I'm sitting there, and then just about quarter after 7, 20 after, about quarter after 20 after, I happen to look and I see a shadow, and it's a fox that come down through. So it was light enough to see shadows, but you couldn't make out color or nothing
Right.
yet. So I figured at that point, okay, it's starting to get light, and I am a big, and it's like a thing that I always say: do not call or rattle until you have shooting light. Because I've done it in the past where it was dark out and I want to get them near me, so I would rattle and cut because they can't see me. And I've done that, and I've had deer come into me and I can't shoot them because it's too dark out.
Right.
So I always wait till I can shoot a deer before I call or rattle. And blind calling, I will do it very lightly. Hey, Dean, what's up, buddy? Thanks for coming in.
Hi, Dean Lasher.
So we got 7 people in here right now. So, So I called, I grunted, and it's in the video. The video is coming out Wednesday, so go check it out. I grunted, and then I grabbed I have a block rack system from deer. I really like the way that sounds. So I hit them together, and I didn't crush them and like fight, full-blown fight. I tinkled them together like 2 deer were in the area, and they were testing each other. So I did that. I did that very lightly, boom, 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 and that's in the video. And then I set them down, and then about 20 to 8, I heard a branch snap behind me, and I looked down towards my scrape, and that's where I had dumped the magic potion in there, Chris. I dumped your stuff in there before that, and they came into the scrape. I had a big doe come in, so I was like, okay, here's a big mature doe. She walked over to the scrape, she sniffed the scrape, she worked the vine a little bit, like smelt the vine. I didn't put anything on the vine because you've seen my video, and that should be coming out tomorrow, my update video, but the deer are working that vine, so I don't need to put any more scent on that vine. Once the deer are working that, I figure I'm letting it go with the deer, but I will put the pee and stuff on the ground there. Okay,
sure.
So I dumped your potion there. The doe come up, smelled it, and walked behind me. They weren't scared, so that was a plus for the magic potion to me. Yes, so that worked. And then the 2 fawns came behind her, and they walked out of there, and they were behind me. And then there was another bigger doe behind them coming out, and I'm looking at them, and I happened to look into the thicket a little more, and I seen like a yellow rack, and I'm like, okay. And then I seen the body, and I'm like, that's a big deer. So I sat there, and I'm waiting, and the buck is pushing the doe, okay? And they come to the right of me, and they're behind me, and the buck that I shot is right behind me, and it's standing there watching a doe, and the doe come up. Now, before that, I did walk in on my boots, and I put the Jinx Some Sense on. I put the Bewitched on my boots because I wanted to catch that trail, the lower trail, and try to lure them up the hill to me with that Bewitched. So I walked up the hill with it, and I spread it on a couple branches by my stand. And then once I got in my stand, there's some green foliage on, like about 4 or 5 foot off the ground down there. So I just sprinkled some scent on that foliage just to get the scent in the area and sort of use it as an attractant and cover scent. You know what I mean?
Right.
So then once I did that, I did like a circle in front of my stand. I just squeezed the bottle in front to get it on the ground in front, like a scent cone. So the deer come up to my right, and I don't like to turn, and you know this, I don't like to turn to my right to do any kind of shooting.
Yeah, you want to shoot down on your strong side.
I want to shoot to my left, okay? So the buck's coming to my right. I'm like, okay, do I adjust or not? No, I'm just going to wait. Well, he walked up, those deer pushed, and he did like a little bit of a roar, like a buck roar, like, roar, and like chased and pushed him up further in the hill. So I was like, all right, well, that buck came up and hit my scent line and left those doe and walked right down and meandered down to me. Like I have that on the video. It comes down, he comes right to my stand, and he's directly under me, sniffing all the scent that I put out. And he ended up working to behind me and to my left. and he was about 6 yards away. He was too close for me to shoot. Actually, I didn't shoot him because I didn't want that straight down shot. I wanted him
Right.
to be a little more broadside and level. So he walks up to my left, walks up further in front of me. And then I'm like, man, it's about 8 yards. No, I'm going to let it go. He walks in front of me and he starts walking up the hill straight away from me. Well, he's on the left side of this tree. Well, the right side of the tree is my shooting lane. Well, what got me was he come up and he turned back to its right to go back over to either the doe or to come down to smell my scent again. And he turned into my shooting lane. And that's when I was the old, and he stopped and I just drilled him and he died 40 yards away. So that was a great hunt.
Yeah.
I was happy with the Jinx Him scent. That's the first time that I had scent really work for me. It pulled him in right to me.
Yeah.
So it was a great hunt and successful. And like I said, I can't say enough good things about the Jinx Him scent. So if you guys are in here, make sure you're checking out the Jinx Him scent. I don't even know if I think I have it up here somewhere. Somewhere out here. I don't know where it is. But that was my story for the here's the Jinx Him Scents website, and you can use my code OFFTHEHOOKOUTDOORS and get 10% off of your scent and products. The only thing that discount doesn't work for, Chris, is the apparel, because they're print on demand. So they have Jinx Him Nation as well, YouTube channel, and then on Facebook. Then that's where they do most of their advertisement and lives and stuff on there is on Facebook. And
yeah, it was on the other night. I listened to them.
Yeah, I missed it. I was working and I missed it, so I went back in after and watched.
I just caught like 10 minutes of it.
Yeah. So there's my code right there, Off the Hook Outdoors. So make sure you're using that. And then I'm going to share my Redmond Hunt, my Trophy Rock code, Off the Hook 20, to save 20% off your order on that as well. And I'm going to keep the Jinx Him scent up here because that is really cool. That scent just, I love the company. I love Jinx Him Scents company. I love the people that are there. They're awesome.
It's nice when you get a product that works.
And you're confident in it. It's really nice. Now, I also wanted to mention real quick, guys, Chris here, City Sticker Chris, my buddy, go over to his channel and make sure you're watching some playlists and things like that, because he's working on his watch time. So please give Chris some support. Make sure you go over there, watch some of his videos. He has great videos, great information, food plot videos, and things like that. So make sure you're going over there and you are watching Chris. If you're not doing nothing tonight, go over, put it in, put his channel on, and let it run, man. Let it run.
Yeah.
Hey, Slay Trout Jigs, what's up, buddy? Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. And
it's nice to be confident in your equipment and your accessories and everything, you know.
Yeah. Guess what I did tonight? I shot my bow.
Did you?
Yeah, man.
Your bow's feeling good?
Oh yeah, everything was good, man. It's 70 pounds. I'm getting older, Chris. I'm 51 years old. I might have to drop that down to 65. But I shoot a thumb release, you know what I mean? And with the loop. And I was pulling. Now I'm used to pulling my bow back, aiming and hitting where I want to. And I was shooting. I was a little high, a little left. So I got to practice again. But I have a doe license for 2B here where I'm at. So I'm probably going to be cutting a video with me using my bow for doe hunting this year. I don't know when it's going to happen, whenever I have time, but I'm going to get out there with my regular bow and do it and get back into it, because I injured my arm. I blew my bicep out a while ago. And so I started using a crossbow. And so I just been using a crossbow. And today, man, I was just like, I want to get into my, hey, Kevin, thanks for coming in. Get into my regular bow again and start shooting it. So it was nice to get out and shoot. I only shot about a dozen. I only shot about a dozen arrows, but it felt good. You know, it just felt good. And I was like, man, and that I have a diamond black ice bow, and I love that bow. And that thing is quiet and it's nice. And all my stuff probably needs updated on it, but I had all the updated stuff when I got it. But it's nice. I mean, I love it. It's quiet. It shoots well.
Look at my camera's opposite. Look at the bow in the picture I shot this bow with. I shot this bow.
You shot this deer with the bow?
Shot that bear with that bow. People can't see that, but that's a 1995 PSE Carroll's 3D Dominator.
Nice.
And
That's old school, Chris.
I shot that bear in like 2011.
That's like an
And
85 Chevy.
yeah, that thing was older than dirt, and I shot that bear with it.
Awesome.
You
Hey,
know,
Yoper, what's up, buddy? Thank you for coming in, man. I appreciate you. We're waiting on Kyle here too, because
Cooper, what's happening?
Kyle was out with his son hunting this evening, so he was running a little bit late.
Kevin
But in the
Hawthorne, how are you?
thumbnail, we're waiting for Kyle to come up too before we start talking about this October Lull. So we were just giving some hunts,
Some hunt updates,
of how our hunts go. And I got my buck. My son had got his buck this on opening day. So we're doing pretty good so far. I didn't get down to Ohio yet, and I plan on next weekend to be in Ohio on Saturday, and I'll hunt Saturday. Okay, he's ready. So let me go to invite. I'm going to invite Kyle. I'm going to put it just in the chat here. So I right click and then paste. There is the link, Kyle. Get Yoper said what's up. So Kyle, there is the link if you want to come up.
Yeah, opening day I did shoot a doe.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I shot a doe there, and I've been taking my boy out. He's had crones for a lot of years, and I took him on as a mentor hunter at 7, 8, 9.
Yep.
And he was diagnosed with that Crohn's at 11. He hasn't hunted in 8.5 years. So he's been doing a lot better lately, and he wanted to, get out a little bit this year and try it and sit for a while. And he's been doing pretty good sitting. He's learning a lot. I've just, there's a lot that he's forgotten. He didn't realize that he was moving too much, and when the deer were coming in, he didn't have the bow up and ready, didn't have the safety off and things. So he learned a couple hard knocks already this season.
Well, he's got to get back into it, man. He's got to get back into the swing of things. So it's just a blessing that he's back out there with you.
Oh, for sure.
That's why this thumbnail, I put, our sons in the thumbnail, because Kyle was out with his son tonight. I take my son out. You had your son out. So I thought that was a really cool thumbnail to put our us with our sons up there.
Right.
Kyle is in the green room, or the blue room, I should say. So we're going to let Kyle in here right now. And I haven't seen Kyle in a long time. So this is kind of nice to have Kyle up here with us. He's one of the OGs of this YouTube thing. When we all started out, man, I remember going on Kyle's lives. He used to have lives on Thursdays and things like that. And he's been a little bit of like missing in action, sort of. And I want him to get back into this stuff, and he is. And it's great to have him on here. So let's all welcome Kyle from Dark 30 Outdoors. What's up, buddy?
Hey,
what's up?
What's up, buddy? Thanks for coming in tonight.
Yeah, it's been a while. You didn't see me scrambling to mute the YouTube side because I hadn't done StreamYard in so long. I'm like, oh boy, I'm gonna get in trouble because it's gonna.
You wouldn't be in trouble, buddy. Not at all. You just
got rusty.
Rusty. Just shake that rust off, right?
But it's good. It's good to be on a live stream again. A couple of the OG crew, the community.
Yeah.
Boxy was a big builder of the community. A lot of us met through him and his lives.
Yeah, for sure.
So, excited to get on and talk deer hunting and myths and facts and fiction and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's what we're here for tonight. So, and, we all may have a little bit different opinions. So that's a good thing for sort of like debating, but in a nice way debating, because we all respect each other here. And we know, we've all taken deer. We all hunt our own ways. So it's a good learning experience for people in the chat, and it's a good learning experience for us to learn. And what I wanted to say was I did share the link in the chat for Kyle to come up. But if anybody has any questions and they want to get on panel to ask anything or put something out there, just put it in the chat that you'd like to come on panel, and I will share the link with you, and you can come up for a few minutes and ask your question or give us, a story or whatever you'd like to do. But we're going to be talking about the October Lull, and does it exist? Is it fact or fiction? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into, or Kyle, let me ask you first, because I got Chris's scoop today on his hunt. I know you were out, which was great. You were out with your son tonight, and that's why I put us all in the thumbnail with our sons. I think that's a great thing. You got the younger guys coming up. Chris got his son back into the swing of things here. You're grooming your son. I'm grooming my son to get into the woods. So how was your experience today in the woods?
We had fun, and I think that's where deer hunting starts. We did not have any actual deer action, and I think there were some challenges. You know, I predominantly hunt public land, and in the last, I don't know, 3-4 years, I've really taken to hunting, going in by boat, or canoe or whatever. It's a stealth approach, but there's challenges to that. Tonight we had guys out on the lake partying, you know, just enjoying themselves. OSU was on a bye this weekend, so on a Saturday, I think a bunch of guys were, it's a beautiful day, let's go out on the lake and crank the music and have a good time. Yeah. So that was going on till about 5:30, and I was thinking, okay, dinner time. They've moved on. Things are going to get good. Well, I think there was a house like a mile away that was having a party or something. They a loudspeaker and microphone, and it was quite a commotion. It was very noticeable, and so I was like, Ben, I don't know. Tonight might not be the night, but we'll sit tight and we'll hang in. And we stayed till last shooting light. We didn't see anything. I heard one blow. She might have been a quarter mile to the north, 400, 500 yards. Yeah. She wouldn't have been blowing at us. We had a light breeze that was blowing right back to the water, right out on the lake. So, I mean, perfect setup. And we were in the ground blind. I got one of those tied blinds you can see through the walls through 3 sides of them. And this was only my second time hunting that. The first time hunting it, I really appreciated it because it rained. And I hate hunting in the rain. And I didn't get wet. So that was 2 thumbs up to the tide we blind on that. But, you know, it's see-through really, really well when the sun is straight up above you. As the sun cascades down on the horizon, and you got glare, and it's not very good see-through then. And then,
but that's good to know too, Kyle, because I have the same blind.
And then in the others, and then right when you get the last 10 minutes of shooting light, or in the morning, it would probably be the first 10 or 15 minutes of shooting light. It's not very see-through. Okay. Now, of course, you got the windows. You're going to shoot through the windows, and so you can obviously look through the windows. But yeah, the see-through is a little bit, I think it's
misleading.
It's a little bit misleading, almost a little bit gimmicky. I think for the most part, I appreciate it. But if I didn't have it, I don't think I'd, you know what I mean?
Like you wouldn't go out and buy it for that reason.
Yeah, you know, let's say that a tornado came through 3 days from now and sends that blind to God knows where. I'd probably just go out and buy a regular blind. I wouldn't feel like I had to have the see through. But
well, that's interesting to hear for sure, because I never was in my blind yet for that reason. So when I do put it up, I'll have to make sure I take that in consideration, maybe on positioning too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and mine's in the woods, and I noticed with a dark backdrop, it's a little bit more difficult for the see-through as well. Okay. But with a light backdrop, there was only one spot where I had a pretty light backdrop. The see-through works really, really well. So I could see setting it up on the edge of a woods that overlooks a field, like a cut bean field, where it's just all, you know, a nice light background. It would just be perfect for that. I don't have a setup like that anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it has its applications. My son is 11 years old. This was his very first exposure to deer hunting. I think I've had him out there scouting here and there, but
it's always good.
His chance to go out in the woods and see deer. And I knew, being in a tree stand or whatever, he'd be restless, he'd be fidgety, whatever. So being in a ground blind, it was nice. He spent a lot of time on Roblox.
Oh yeah, I get it. That's Theo's the same way. Hey Peggy, thank you guys.
But he enjoyed it every time he made any little sound. You know, when I'm kind of snapping at him.
Yeah.
He's giggle fit to death. I think he's just not used to seeing Dad in such an intense mode. He's like, Dad, straight up with this stuff.
That's awesome. Hey, as long as you're getting out there, and that's one thing, like with Theo, like, and I was talking about this on my last live, is he's not into the going out and sweating and putting the food plots in or hanging a tree stand yet. And and I had a talk with my wife and like friends, and they're like, dude, you love to do that stuff, so go out. You don't need your son. Go out and do it, but set it up for success so he can see deer and get a shot at deer to plant that seed in the youngsters. Like, let him do his thing and then ask him to go hunt. And if he's seeing deer, he's going to want it. And it does work that way. And so, I was trying to push a little bit, I think too much, and be like, hey, let's go out 90 degrees out. Let's go plant food plots. He don't want to go plant food plots. Right? He wants to go over to my sister's and jump in the pool. You know what I mean? Right. And so it's like, okay, well, you go jump in a pool. My mindset is, let me set this up as best I can so we can see deer to keep him interested. Right. Thanks, Peggy. And, show him the deer, maybe get a shot at deer. And it's working out. He's got 4 deer in 3 years down there. So he's spoiled. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but I'm planting that seed. And my wife always puts me in that level ground. Like, hey, he ain't going to do that. Don't push him away.
Push.
For sure. So
right out of it.
So he likes
I did the same thing. I made it too easy on him when he was 7, 8, 9, and 10,
Yeah.
And he killed first couple of times out, and I was like, oh man, he's spoiled for life now. Yeah. Well, then, for sure. Like I said, then he got that Crohn's and took an 8.5-year hiatus because he couldn't stay out of the restroom.
Yeah.
But like I said, now that he's doing better, I had him the other couple of weeks ago, right before the season started. I'm like, look, we've got to go out and set up these double man stands, and those things are freaking heavy. I said, I need help getting those things up.
Yeah.
Plus we're so short, that don't help. It's not like you can put it together and stand it up.
Yeah.
You have to get the top layer and lift it up and have him put a section under it. And then I got to lift that up, put another section under it, and put the Y bar on it. And he was not into it at all. He was just kind of hanging back and watching me. And I'm like, get over here. I need help, And
for
then
sure.
I'm holding the thing up. I'm like, get that section under there. I can't hold this thing all day, And he's like, oh man, he's like, it's hot. He started whining and complaining. I'm like, I'm doing this for you.
Yep.
You need to at least help a little bit. And I said, and when you finally do kill something out of this stand, you will appreciate it.
Yep. No, for sure.
So I'm trying to get him involved, but I'm trying not to be too hard either.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, I do need help. I mean,
I know.
Those double man stands are a couple 100 pounds, and you got to hoist it up there,
For sure.
So yeah, we're having fun though. He's had a ton of encounters already.
That's awesome. We had somebody in the blue room here, but I didn't know who that was. It was Clayton Media something, and I didn't get him up there because he wasn't in the chat. Yeah, it didn't sound familiar, so I didn't put him up. So sorry, Clayton. If you want to get in the chat and get to know us a little bit, then we will let you up maybe another time. But I do not know you, and I don't want to put you on the panel and something stupid happens. So to be honest with you, that's why I didn't.
No, that's good police work there.
Yeah, but before we get into the October Lull, I just want to mention some of my partners and affiliates real quick before we do this. I'd like to thank FishAngler, Fishoholic, Yuletech, Angler Tungsten, Placino, Jinxum Sense, Windscent, Elimishield, Cam Park, Redmond Hunt, and Tideway. Thank you guys for being part of my channel and helping me out and sending me stuff. And I am a partner and affiliate with those companies. So go over, check them out in my description, browse their websites. I have codes and share codes on there to save money on some of the products. So make sure you go over there and browse their websites and possibly get some apparel and get some products from those companies. So just wanted to mention the partners and affiliates in there. So thank you guys for that. All right. Well, this is the big question, Chris and Kyle. I am going to ask it, and then I did a little bit of research online here before our live stream, and I have a couple of things from a couple different companies, some talk forums and stuff like that, and I'm going to read you about 6 different little comments about the October Lull. Okay.
Yep.
So we are going to go into what is the October Lull. We're going to, I'm going to just read these few things off here just to get us going. Okay.
Okay.
So
get the juices flowing, huh?
Get the juices flowing. So this is from the Moon Guide. Okay. And you know how the moon is, it affects our hunt so much, right? So this is figuring out the October Lull. But what's really happening during this time are deer not moving because of hunting pressure or warm temperatures that seem to linger longer into hunting. Okay. That's the first comment from the Moon Guide. This next one is from Antler King. It says early October can be a great time to harvest mature whitetails as they are still residing their home range and much more predictable during this than breeding. Okay. Then this is from bowhunting.com. Why is it that all of a sudden deer get up out of their beds and appear in a field? He asked. What can't we see? What just triggered that? Okay. That's just for movement and stuff like that. Bowsite.com. The October Lull for me means lack of mature buck daylight movement. So yes, the October Lull is real. Trail cams don't lie. They are not moving. Okay. And 2 more real quick. And this is just like I said, to get the juices flowing here. This is from Archery Talk Forum. The October Lull is a direct result of hunting pressure. If hunters have bad access to and from stand locations and spook deer off of food. The last one is from Fall Obsession, and that is, it's that mythical time that comes around mid-October where whitetail bucks are said to go into a movement slump. Okay, so that's just a couple different things that I wanted to put out there, like different opinions from different people, just to get, like you said, the juices flowing for us here. And I have, because I'm very professional, Chris and Kyle, you know, I got a clipboard hanging right here. I got paperwork. I got all kinds of stuff here. So, but my little black book can be put away right now. But here is what I saw online what is the October Lull. Okay. And I'm going to read this verbatim, exactly how it came out of exactly how somebody wrote it. It says the October Lull is a period when some hunters experience a decrease in deer sightings. However, some say that the lull is a myth and that deer movement actually increases during this time. So now, guys, I'm going to let Kyle go first, Chris. I'm going to, Kyle, I want you to explain what your idea of the October Lull is.
I'm glad you let me go first because I'm going to chime in and then I'm probably going to mute and listen to your guys' insights while I eat my pizza. I haven't eaten my dinner yet.
No problem, buddy. No
anyway,
problem.
I think, and Ted, I mentioned this to you, I think there's a lot of misconception just around the language that deer hunters use.
Okay.
For example, one of my biggest pet peeves in deer hunting, like if you see it in Facebook groups or online chatter, this, that, and the other, deer are moving or deer aren't moving. I will see a guy say the deer aren't moving, and that, you know, because it's hot. It was high of 80 degrees, so the deer aren't moving. They weren't moving, and then some other person will chime in and say they have to eat every 5 hours. They move all the time. They never stop. You know, this, that, and the other. To me, deer moving is deer are traveling. They are going from point A to point B. They're spending time on their feet. They are interested in going to a different wood lot or checking out different fields. Maybe they've got scrapes in 3-4 different fields. That's a deer is moving.
Yep.
And when it's 80 degrees, a big mature 3.5, 4.5-year-old buck, he's not doing that.
No, he has his winter coat on, man.
And,
you know?
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of us run our trail cameras out there, you know, somewhere between mid-August, end of July. You know, we definitely get them out there by the 1st of September, and we're seeing these bucks. They're moving. They're in their velvet. We get tons of pictures of them. We're excited about it. And then October hits, And we even if you've got cameras in great locations, a lot of times you might still get pictures, but you're not getting them like you were, the end of August, the 1st of September.
Mm-hmm.
And that growing in that winter coat is massive. And I think it's a big part of the October lull.
Mm-hmm.
The October lull exists, in my mind, predominantly based on weather and specifically the temperature. When you have those first 2 weeks in October here in the Midwest, you get some hot weather.
Mm-hmm.
Indian summer is a thing. If it's a high of 78, 80 degrees and it's a low of 63, 64 and a high dew point, those big mature bucks most often are going to be bedding, in my opinion, within 30 to about 80 yards of where their food is, their primary food. And so if they're moving very, very little while it's hot. And to get in on them, we as hunters, to move in on that small of a sector that they're using without being detected and then to arrow them, it's super tough.
Yep.
It's super tough. Your odds of bumping them are far greater than not. And I think that's why a lot of these guys that we're seeing, last week we talked about don't hunt the mornings, and they're saying they're worried about you bumping that big mature buck because the key is you got to get close.
Mm-hmm.
But there's exceptions to the rule. It can be October 2nd. It can be October 8th. If it gets down to 30 degrees, there's not a lull on that day.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to move. They're going to start, territory marking, doing all those things because it's 30 degrees and they're comfortable.
Yep.
And then lastly, the last thing I'll add in is hunting pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Guys will not just the lull, but they'll say, "Oh, well, the bucks have gone nocturnal. My cameras show that." Well, yeah, you hunted every day for 6 days in a row in 2 spots.
Yep.
Yeah, your bucks did go nocturnal. That's hunting pressure. That's not the lull. That's you did that.
you created the lull.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Well, you go ahead and eat your pizza there, Kyle. Chris, I mean, I agree. I agree with a lot of that stuff that Kyle said. So what say you?
Yeah, I'll just add to it, and I'll say that it does exist, but not in the way you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It exists a lot because, like Kyle was just saying, there's a lot of pressure comes on.
Mm-hmm.
There's people setting up stands. There's people moving stands. There's people scouting. There's small game seasons in. People are duck hunting. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in that time frame. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things are happening, and I really agree with the temperature thing.
For sure on that.
There's like today, the nighttime travel, I was hunting over a destination plot, and it's nothing for me to get trapped in a tree with 12 deer in front of me, and I got to wait an hour or two to get out of my stand so I don't bump them. Now, tonight was not like that.
Well, I knew that because you texted me and said I'm out of my stand and I'm ready to go for the live stream.
Yeah.
So
I told
if you
Ted,
were late, if you and Kyle were late
Ted,
tonight.
I told Ted, depending on how trapped I get in my stand tonight, is when I'll get on. Well, geez, I was back to the house before 7:30.
Yeah.
In fact, I got all my hunting clothes washed already before I got on tonight.
Yeah.
They're already in the washer getting ready to be dried. But I think it's not because a deer knows the calendar and they're like, "Oh, October 1st, I got to go lay down for a month." No, it's not that. I think it's pressure related. I think it's weather related. And I didn't really even think about the winter coat thing till you guys said that. I mean, that obviously that goes in with the temperature. But we had a podcast on my channel here a couple weeks ago, and we talked about the myth of the October lull. And it's a myth in the fact that people say that when October 1st comes and deer season starts, that's when deer disperse. And, it has a lot to do with switching their way that they're eating now. The acorns are dropping, the fruit's dropping, they're taking different travel routes and things. So, I mean, you may not be seeing them on the field that you're hunting, because now they're going somewhere else because there's acorns or fruit dropping.
Acorns are king in the woods right now.
Well,
That's
and
their king.
they don't have to come to the field to get something to eat,
They don't need to move far to get the food.
and that's the other thing. They will bed close to food when it's warm, and they will not move far. They will get up and eat when they want, and when they stand up, they will go to the restroom, and if they need a bite to eat, they'll get that right before they lay back down. A deer may only move 20 yards in a day.
Yeah.
When it's that hot,
For sure.
It may not even move that far. It might get up out of its bed and lay right back down in its bed after it takes a leak, But that's the type of things that the big boys do.
What's up, Ray?
When it's, humid or hot or they've been pressured, and the people say, "Oh, my deer went nocturnal." Well, they probably did, because you either spooked them or bumped them, and it has nothing to do with the calendar, because if it had something to do with the calendar, we could say December and January lull, because let's face it, when rifle season comes around in Pennsylvania, you're not shooting deer that are on just a daily travel route. You're shooting deer that's been bumped or shot at already, and you could say that there's a December lull going on, but we know better than that. The deer aren't moving on their own unless it's a posted piece of property or private land that they're not being bothered on. I hunt primarily public land, so if I see a deer coming, it's hauling the mail usually. It's on the move. It either just got bumped by hunters, the Orange Army in PA. So yeah, I mean, I say it does exist, but not in the way the media is telling you it exists. It exists because it's man-made, and it is a killer. But here's the thing, that the one thing that you read there, they said, early season is a great time to shoot a big one. And it is, because you're the element of surprise. They still might be on that summertime feeding pattern, and come into the plots and things. And some people do kill really big bucks on the first week of archery. But
that's why Bob took off the first week of archery to get that Goliath buck, that big 8-point.
Get that element of surprise in. But
he didn't get him, but he's on him, but he was smart. Those big deer are smart.
The weather had to be just right, though. If it was too hot, you're going to get the surprise. Is what I'm saying, But I mean, I pass the first week of archery. I normally pass a ton of bucks, and they're just not the caliber I want, though. I mean, and last year I really could have kicked myself, because I passed up something that I would have never passed up before, only because I had 4 shooters that I was watching. And this one came in and he was low on the list, so I let him go. Well, ended up 2 of my number 1 and number 2 got killed across the road from my plots. And number 3, we think, got poached. They find a headless deer across the road. So there was a lot of action happening across the road from my plots. But we think 3 of my 4 were killed off. And then number 4, that one I let go, I never seen him again. So we think that might have been the one that got poached. But number 4 was the one I called Salad Fork. He had this one huge side, and the other side was like this 3-prong fork looking thing. It was wacky, and he was blind in one eye. Now he come by, I passed him up like 3 times, because I thought I was hunting the other one still.
That's the advantage I'm looking for, Chris. Give me the one that's blind and either one eye, both eyes.
That's everybody's.
2 years? No, might have been 3 years ago now. I shot one. It was blind, and he turned his blind eye to me, and that's when I drew. I could see his eye was swelled up like a golf ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I mean, he was only like 12 yards from me, so I could see it very well. And when he turned broadside and had that blind eye to me, I just drew on him, and that's the one. That's the video I have that I have. It's called Buck Roar or something like that.
Chris, you touched on something, and I think I was kind of trying to hit on it. It goes back to language. There are hunters, there are people that when they hear October Lull, they think that means stay home from October 1st to October 30th.
Exactly.
No. If it's 80 degrees the whole time, maybe.
Yeah.
If you get a cold front, if you get rain, if you get weather that'll break that, you got to get to the woods, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the guy that does the podcast with me, Dave, he used to believe in this, and he went to a outfitter one time when he was a young man, and he got there, and they was like, "Hey, sorry guys, we ain't seen any deer. It's the October Lull." And he was like, "Oh man, I just paid all this money for nothing."
Yeah.
You know, and he tells the story about it. Like the outfitter told him, just outright told him, and they believed it obviously too. It was like, "Sorry guys, it's the October Lull. We're not seeing anything." But here it was one of these bait states, you know, where guys were hunting the same stands over the same feed, and it was moldy, and you know, the deer just quit hitting it, you know.
Right.
And he was trying to blame it on October Lull, and he had this Dave believing in it. You know,
that's a good business skit right there with the October Lull.
Oh, it's a good gimmick for them,
for sure.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
if you're not seeing any deer, sorry guys, it's the lull, man. Just blame it on that.
And that brings me to my thing. I don't think the law exists unless you create it. I think you have to pick and choose when you hunt in October, like following the patterns, like the cool weather and stuff like that. I don't believe in going out. Now, the moon was involved with this October as well. And I was just explaining to Chris before we went live, is the moon phase was a full moon on Wednesday. So what I did was I used the full moon with the coldest day of the week and the coldest day of the year so far coming up. It was 38 degrees. And I was figuring those deer are going to stay out because it's the full moon. They're out at night anyway, moving. They call it, I think Chris Brackett said it's called the vampire walk. You don't need a light, you walk in full moon. So I planned my hunt when I shot my buck on October the Thursday after the full moon, because I was just thinking that the deer are going to be out longer at night. It's going to be cooler in the morning, so they're going to want to keep the feed bag on a little longer. And I was hoping that they would put it on a little longer before they moved into the bedding area. And I hunt transitions, and I think that's another part of the law where you need to be mobile. I think if you know because you're creating your own law. If you're hunting a food or if you're hunting the bedding, if you're just in those areas and you're not mobile and you want to hunt your favorite spots and you're not seeing deer, you need to adapt and you need to chase the deer to their movement, because right now at that time, I believe they're changing their food patterns. I can see it in Ohio right now. We have corn piles, minerals, we have stuff out there, and we were getting all kinds of pictures. And now the acorns are falling, and you're not getting the picture. You're getting some stray pictures of deer coming through, eating on some corn and going. But they got the best food in the woods right now. The acorns are dropping. That's their preferred food. So guess what? Get off of those bait piles and go put a stand up in the acorn flats. Go find one place that's dropping, like a lone acorn tree that's dropping. Find that, because that can also hurt you. When you have a whole stand of oaks everywhere and every woods, every acorn tree is dropping, that spreads the deer out so much where they don't have to move. So you got to find an active area. So I believe, the law isn't really the law. I think the deer are just changing their patterns at that time of the year in October. I believe that the winds are unpredictable in October, more or less, because everything's changing. You're getting the cold, you're getting the warm. There's no stable weather during October, so it's tougher to hunt that month. When you get towards the end of October, when you start getting to stable weather, to stable west winds, northwest winds, when you start getting those winds that are staying there And Chris Brackett, I don't know if anybody follows him or whatever, but I follow Chris. I think he's just a book of knowledge. Okay. And he told me, he didn't tell me, but he was saying on his podcast that he makes a fire in his backyard and he watches that smoke. And during the month of October, there's a scent cone that he looks at the fire, and that smoke is going every which way during October. Now, those steady wind days, he'll hunt the steady wind days. But when that wind's changing up on you, he goes, all you need is a backdraft. Now, this is for mature bucks now. This is for 4.5 and above. It doesn't pertain to the smaller, younger bucks because they're smaller and younger bucks. They don't really know like these. I believe a 4.5-year-old deer is just a different animal than a 2.5-year-old buck. It's just a totally different animal. That when you're hunting mature bucks, you're dealing with the best. Like they are smart. They are a totally different animal than you're getting the 1.5, 2.5-year-old bucks. I believe that. Okay. And the bigger bucks, they have their winter coat on. They're big and lazy, and they have a winter coat on. When it's 80 degrees out, they're not moving. If they can get up, if I'm sitting, I mean, look at you don't want to go out and ride a bike in 90-degree weather. You don't want to go out and walk around the park in 90-degree weather. You want to sit at home you want to watch TV with your iced tea and maybe reach over and grab your food and chips and dip and stuff, and you're watching TV. You don't want to move. You don't want to be out in that weather. You want to be inside the air conditioning. So these bucks are staying in their core areas. And like Kyle said, they may be moving 30 to 80 yards away, maybe hitting some water, this, that, and the other. They're getting up to stretch, go to the bathroom, maybe grab a bite, go back and chew their cud for the rest of the day. That's what they're doing. So as a hunter, if you want to chance it on a big buck, and Kyle hit I think the nail right on the head. Do you want a chance in October going into that spot and bumping that deer out of the area, or do you stay out of there and wait till the better weather and the cooler weather when they're moving? And that comes to picking and choosing your days of hunting. So I think a hunter creates the law. I think the deer are just changing patterns, and you have to be smart about it and either be adaptable and chase the deer, but you have to be careful. And it doesn't hurt to scout in October as well on those hot days. If you can get out there, if you want to really cash in on a big buck, then those 80-degree days, they're bedded down in there. So go find the food sources. Don't go scout the bedding areas, but scout the food sources where they're going or where they're going to be. And then plan your hunts for them late October days. Get a stand in there. Hunt outside of that during October, because it's hard to stay out of the woods in October, man. October mornings are awesome. I mean, I've shot all my deer in my house because I'm not an evening hunter because I work in the evening. So I have to hunt the mornings. And Kyle and I talked last week about it. He's like, dude, if it's cold out, get out there. You're not going to sit inside and just not hunt October. No. If you get a cold front, get out there. And that's what I planned my hunt on. And I was successful. Now it's a 2.5-year-old buck. It's not a mature, 4.5, 5.5-year-old. But my expectations in PA around here are a lot different than Ohio. I wouldn't do stupid stuff in Ohio after 4.5, 5.5-year-old. But here I drive down the street, get into my stand. I believe access is also important. Easy, quick access, quiet access, wind with you. That's
one of the reasons I love to boat in is because whenever I boat in, I mean, my blind, it's the furthest I've ever been away from where I'm going to beach my boat. It's probably about 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But usually where I have a tree stand, I'm going 20 to 40 yards and up the tree.
Yeah, like you're in
the area at all.
Yep.
Now, a caveat to that is last year I was hunting up in that cove because there's a pinch point, right?
Yeah.
From this peninsula to that peninsula, they're going to go around the cove, right? They're not swimming across.
Mm-hmm.
So I was running my boat up in there, and I was parking my boat right below my stand. And we're talking 20 yards, and I go up my stand, and I think a deer or two saw me going, climbing, getting up, or just got settled in and moved or whatever. So I picked up on this.
Mm-hmm.
I had, I think, 3 or 4 hunts in that spot, and the camera showed deer were in there using it, blah, 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 blah. But when I got on stand, I wasn't seeing nothing. And this isn't lull time. This is November, December. Things are happening. I was like, they got me pegged. They hear my boat. So what did I do on December 3rd? I parked out in front of the cove and I walked all the way to my stand. That's the day I shot that 8-point buck.
Yeah, they patterned you, maybe. You know what I mean?
They patterned me. They hear
me.
that boat coming in, and they were used to hearing that. They'd seen me a time or two, and they figured it out.
Yeah,
and so I had to change. You know what I mean? And we're talking about the lull specifically, but I know Chris knows what we're coming into. I think this next 15 days, 20 days.
Yeah,
this is the best time.
We were just talking about
the next 10 to 12, because a lot of people talk about the rut. Oh, it's the best time. Oh, the rut, it's the best time. Peak breeding, I don't know if that's the best time, but pre-rut's
where it's at.
What we got from about 10/23 to November 3rd.
Yep.
Give me that every year.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, because I've hunted Ohio and I'm sick of holding my bow out and moving it around like jumping jacks and trying to catch a deer running. And
you want the pre-rut.
I want the pre-rut where they're coming in, they're pushing the doe. You get the doe in your area, they're moving. Those bucks are 40, 30 yards,
they're
40 yards behind
straights.
them. They're moving behind them slowly. You get them doe come past you real slow. They look out. Here comes a buck walking, just tending, like not tending a doe, but just pushing them and slowly behind them. That's the best time for me. I love that time. I mean, the rut, it's great because you're going to see big bucks running around everywhere. But in the rut, I've shot deer in the rut. Don't get me wrong. Okay. It just happened that they had to stop in the right area for me to shoot them. But you guys all know this. When you're seeing a buck in the rut, it is a flash and it's running and breaking trees and grunting and moving, and you can't stop this deer. You can do jumping jacks in your stand and that buck's not moving. He don't care if you're up there. He's running around chasing them doe. If you get a doe stopped within 20 yards of you and that buck stops, there's your ticket. But it's very seldom do you get that buck stopping in your shooting lanes during the rut. Now the tending period, you get them slowly walking up. The pre-rut, you'll get them the doe in, like I bait down there. So
and the
peak, doe in that area.
Peak breeding time, man, if you're not in them, you're in a wasteland. It's a very hot and cold time for deer hunting. If you've got does, you're going to have action. If you don't, boy, you better move, because you're not in the right areas.
Well, I think too, though, Kyle and Chris, is the buck will take that doe and separate them from that herd, and will take that doe and push that doe away from all the other doe and take him where he wants that deer to be, away from everything, and will go and sit with that doe. It's an average 2-3 days with that one doe. Right. They breed that doe, and then he'll come back and try to find more doe and then do the same thing. Or, so that's why you get those big bucks. You'll see them on camera. You might see him in the woods, and then you don't see him again. And then all of a sudden you think, oh, he's 5 miles away, and I'm a strong believer of, I get it. There's deer, because on my lease down Ohio, I know this happens. We have deer on our property all year. And then when the rut comes, they're not around, but I don't believe that they walk. I don't believe they go 20 miles away to find a doe. Okay. I think they're in the area, but they are locked on a doe somewhere, and they're in a different area, and they're not being seen right now. They take them to their hiding spot and they just keep that doe there. Then they show themselves again, grab another doe. People say they go for miles and miles. And I have had deer 2 miles away in another spot with a camera, and then all of a sudden he ends up on my spot. There is a time and place for that. I believe that. And I think that's that pre-rut where them deer are moving to try to find a hot doe, because they want that first doe to pop. Once that doe pops, then it's on. That's just my opinion. I don't believe that, I got to watch what I say, because, deer are 2.5 mile home range they're supposed to be. And then all of a sudden in the rut, they're 20 miles, 25 mile home range. It expands, and then they always come back to their home range. I have never found that to happen, but I know that their deer disappear and then they come back. I don't know how far they go, so I can't say, oh, they're out there 20 miles away running deer and they come back and they're 150 pounds. They lost 100 pounds because they were out there. I think they lose the weight they're running around. I think they're in the general area of us, but I don't think they travel as far as people say they travel. That's just my opinion.
It depends on deer density, I guess.
It depends on how many
It's all
does are in your.
relative. Yeah, it's all relative to your doe population, how far they have to go to get to the next deer, you know.
And that Tony LaPratte, and we're going off the October Lull here a little bit, but that Tony LaPratte, he's a small property guru. Okay. Well, and he made sense with this. And if you think about it, okay, they say you want a doe, you want 2-to-1, 1-to-1 ratio. That's awesome for your property. Okay. Well, if that buck takes that one doe or two does that you have on your property, he takes that doe, gets with that doe, takes that doe somewhere and goes and breeds that doe. And you have two doe on your property. You ain't seeing that buck again. He's going to come back, maybe grab the other doe. If you have 1-to-1 ratio, he takes that doe and breeds them. He's off your property and he's on another property where there's more doe and he's going to go breed those doe. So you want a doe density on your property. I believe people say about the doe factories. I think pre-rut and everything, I want as many doe as I can on my property. As long as you can sustain them with the food and everything and it sustains your deer herd. I don't believe in going out and whacking all these doe early season. I want them doe to be my natural decoys during the season for this buck. And then after the season, if I harvest my buck, I'll take a doe or two. You know what I mean? But I think having a lot of doe in your property and in your area, frequenting your area, helps attract that buck and keep that buck in your area. Because once the doe are gone, that buck's not coming on your property. He wants to mate with every doe he can. And if he takes the 1-to-1 ratio and takes that doe off your property or breeds that doe, he's not coming back to breed that doe again. He's going to the neighbor's property to find that group of 15 doe that are over there feeding on the corn pile. And he's going to be on that property. So I think that the doe factory thing is sort of a little bit of a myth too. I like as many doe as I can on my property that you can sustain.
I'm fortunate in a way that I have a lot of both, but not mature bucks. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But I've been known to say I've got a buck factory going over here. You know,
in areas of high hunting pressure, it is really, really hard to get a buck to 3.5 years old.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm in an area it's a tourist trap. I live in an area that's a camping town. Right. I mean, this is where all the hunting camps are here. Yeah. All the parks are here. People come and camp. That's how I got here. My parents owned a camp since I was age 11, and I lived in Pittsburgh. And we would go to camp every weekend, you know.
From the hoods to the woods.
From the hoods to the woods.
Well, so, in most places in the Midwest, a 2.5-year-old buck for the average hunter, they're just not going to pass it up. They're just not going to pass it up.
No, and I can't remember if I was telling Ted this or if it was my buddy Dave or who it was, but I was talking. I'd done so many podcasts lately. I can't remember who I told, but I said I would rather be able to shoot 120 or 130 inch deer every year rather than sit and wait on a 180 incher to come by
10 years later.
Right.
20 probably, maybe never. Yeah. I said I would quit hunting if I had to wait for that.
Right.
Now it'd be different maybe in Ohio. I know I seen a picture, Kyle. You posted your buddy got that nice buck this week.
Oh yeah.
My buddy shot a really nice one.
The funny thing, I didn't tell him any details about that buck. Now Aaron, he's a heck of a guy. I mean, he knocks down a buck every year. Now usually it's a 120 to 130 because he has very limited time to hunt, but he does have a private farm that I'm pretty sure it's just him and his dad who have access to hunt it. Nobody else hunts it, just those two. So pressure is limited. So he usually slips in when the time is right, first or second sit, and he'll knock down a buck. Mm-hmm. He had, and he doesn't usually run cameras, but he just started running Tacticams this year. And he said on camera, he had 4 different mature bucks, what he would call a shooter buck, and 3 of them were Big 10 pointers. And he said when he first saw this buck, he's like, oh, I hope it's the Big 10. And as it got closer, he's like, well, that's bigger than that. And then he realized he'd never seen that buck ever before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It never showed up on a camera, and it had also never, like in the previous years, he couldn't say, oh, it's this one or it's that one. It just blew up. He's like, this is just I have no idea where this buck came from, but holy crap.
Well, that's why I said that like before about the bucks traveling. Like, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth because, like, you know, last year we had a bunch of bucks on the bait piles in our stands and acorns. Like the acorn crop wasn't as good last year. So the bait piles were pretty hot. Okay.
He did kill that buck on a cold front. So you know, that goes back to they'll move if it gets cold. That's the exception to the rule, right?
Yeah.
Well, this buck here, that one in that picture there, I never had it on camera. Had no idea where it came from.
Well, that buck last year that I was getting to was my buddy Bob. His wife, Boo, was in a really hot stand because that's the one stand last year that I passed up those 5 bucks on that one morning, and I passed up that really nice 8, probably a 120, 125 class buck. And I think that's the buck that my buddy's hunting this year, the Goliath. I think he put on about 10, 15, 20 inches maybe this year. So we're seeing if he gets his deer, if it's palmated on the right, and that might be the deer that I passed last year. And that's the reason why you do that, right? Passing up those deer to get that. But she shot a buck, a nice 9-point last year, big 9-point, that one that fell in that pond. We never even seen that there. So like me saying the bucks don't travel, I don't think they travel as far. You know, when you're in a stand, you only have a 100-yard by 100-yard spot that you're looking at. Okay. I'm not saying that the bucks don't go a mile and a half and come back and all that stuff, but there's deer out there that don't move far. Like Kyle was saying, they don't have to move far. And if they have doe in the area, they're not moving that far. But this buck could have been a half a mile away or whatever, but we never had a picture of him all year, all summer, nothing. This buck comes through chasing a doe. She puts it down. So there's always that element of like sort of see the surprise. Like you're going to see that deer that you never saw before. And it's happened to all of us. You've been in the stand. You've been in the area where you're getting pictures of 5 buck all year. You name them Goldie and Trigger and this and that and the other. And you have the 5 bucks and you're concentrating on, like, I'm going to put this out there. Like my buddy Bob named the big 8-point Goliath. So he's after Goliath now. Okay. Well, he's in there hunting Goliath. And all of a sudden, a 12-point walks through that's 180-inch deer, and it's like, whoa, I never saw that. Like you're gonna have that happen, and we've all had that happen. I'm not saying we've all seen 180-inch deer because that's kind of unreal, but we've all seen that buck that we didn't know existed, and we've been running cameras all year, so they do move in that rut, and you'll see those different deer, and there's always a chance of that monster coming through, no matter what, no matter how much homework you do. How much time you spend in the woods, how good you think you have it dialed in, you're always going to see that other deer that you never knew existed. Yeah, that's my point.
I've only, and I went on record by saying this too on one of my podcasts. I said, I've only been running trail cameras probably 6-7 years, something like that. I have only ever shot a deer that I had on camera one time.
I did the same thing, dude. I have
one time
on camera one time,
and a bear. I believe I got a bear that I had on camera too.
Well, the one that I got last year, I thought it was the very first one, but when I went back and reviewed my pictures, I was like, no, that ain't the one.
Ain't that amazing? Like how much intel you get and you still don't have all the intel.
Right. Now, the buck that I shot, I think I shot him in his core area. I think he was a buck that he called that area home. Mm-hmm. I just hadn't gotten him on camera. I think I'd seen him on the stand before, off in the distance. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he was a roamer.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's different, like you said, roamer. I think there's satellite bucks out there that will go roam further than, the average person.
Well, yeah, because
or the average deer. Sorry,
there's gonna be a buck that runs an area.
Yeah,
like it's his area.
Yeah,
and those littler bucks are gonna have to go elsewhere. There. Sorry. Yeah, there's not room for 2 of us. Yeah. That type of thing. Yeah, of course. Yeah, they get dispersed out, especially during the rut.
No, I think, Chris, on what you saying that is, I think that has to do with the age of the buck as well. Like when you have a mature buck in that area, and there's your little, year and a half old, 4 points, 6 points, 8 points, and they're younger deer. I think those bigger deer can tolerate those younger deer, but they can't tolerate that one that's going to threaten their territory.
Yeah, they
that's
can't have that competition.
Yeah, so they will. That's when they fight and run them bucks out, because the little deer, those bigger buck don't give two craps about it.
No, but he's not going to let them breed either.
No,
he's going to run them off as soon as they try to mount one.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that the bigger bucks will tolerate the smaller bucks in their area more than a bigger buck, a threat, basically. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, somewhat.
So, all right. Well, let's get into, since everybody gave us their opinions on what the October Lull was, I'm going to read verbatim what this says online here. Why do some hunters experience the lull? It says hunters may experience the lull because deer are changing their patterns. We've all said that in here. And moving to new food sources. We've all said that in here. For example, deer may be looking for acorns in oak areas, or they may be preparing for the rut. And we've basically hit on all of those points that were said. Now, I'm not saying this is 100% true, but this is just based on the research that I've done today. And I wanted to bring that up, but I wanted to get everybody's opinion on it. And everybody could say I cheated and read this. That's why I said that, but I didn't. I had my opinion. Chris knows my opinion on that. And I wanted to get your guys' opinion and then say that. And we basically hit on all those points right there. The October Lull can exist, but would you guys agree with me that it's created by the hunter? You think that the October Lull is hunter and temperature related?
Pressure and temperature for sure.
Yeah. In fact, it's funny. It could almost be a made up, coined phrase.
Yeah.
If no one would have ever said that
it's another gimmick.
Lull, it'd just be hunters saying, it's too hot. I didn't see any big bucks on my hunt today because it was 80 degrees. Or they'd say, you know what? I'm probably burning out my stand. I've hunted it 4 times in the last 3 days, and I probably need to give it a break. That's what they would say, but instead they start going, "Oh, it's the lull."
Yeah, they use an excuse. Now, you know what? I do want to add something real quick, Chris, and it also depends on the winds, man. Like the winds in your area, everybody's different. Kyle hunts a west wind. I hunt an east wind. You hunt a northwest wind. Like it depends on your area, your lay of the land, and the wind conditions. In October, if you look at the winds, one day it's this way, one day it's that way. So I believe that wind is a factor in that month as well. Then once the weather stabilizes, and that's, if you look at the history of the weather, go back and do your research and look at that this year. Go back and look at September and October wind directions and stuff. They're changing all the time. And then towards October, November, you get the steadier winds, and that's when the success becomes more and more
as the cold weather starts to take more of a hold.
And then you get this, exactly. You get that stable weather. You get the barometric pressure rising. You get the winds more consistent. And then you see more success in hunters in the field. That's what I think.
I did do something a little bit different this year in that my best area, that funnel, that pinch, that cove that I've been telling you about. I've never done this before in the past, but this year I set 2 stands in there. So I can hunt any kind of a west wind, southwest, west, northwest, and I can hunt any kind of an east. Well, I can hunt an east, southeast, or south wind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The only wind I can't hunt in that area is the northeast.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been. I've been trying to stay out of there. I'm wanting it to get closer to that golden time, but my camera there's all kinds of deer using that.
Good. Well, good luck this season on that. And like you're doing your homework. Yeah, you're doing your homework. You put your
I've only
stands in there.
seen one big mature buck in there, and funny enough, it's a 7-point. He's a mainframe 8, but he's missing a G3 on the one side. If he had that, he'd be a 130-inch 8-point, which I would take any day. But
any day, yep.
I'm not going to slight him because he's only a 7. if he gives me a chance, I'm going to let her fly.
Yep, for sure. And since you just said that, Kyle, that's a pretty good point that I wanted to break out here. And this does not have anything to do with the October Lull. I just want to get your guy while there's people in here and we're up here talking. I got you guys up here. Your expectations, okay, on a deer. Like here's what I think. I think nowadays in this hunting industry, and we're barely touching the surface, us, with this YouTube thing and stuff like that. We're serious. I could say we're serious hunters, but we're nowhere near like these guys that are on TV. They do it for a living. Okay. We have jobs and stuff and family. So, but I believe that the deer industry, everybody is basing success off of these 200-inch deer. Like it got to the point now where before when somebody shot a 200-inch deer, it was a big thing. Okay. Nowadays, you see 200-inch deer shot all the time, and everybody's like, oh yeah, he shot a 200-inch deer. Now what is your caliber of a deer? Like, do you let the size of the deer interfere with your success in your hunt? Do you you'll take a 110-inch deer, you'll take a 100-inch deer. It doesn't really matter. Like, I'm going to give you a perfect example. The 9-point I shot was a 2.5-year-old buck. Okay. I'm not coming on here on YouTube and on this platform and saying I'm shooting a big buck and I'm going to pass up all these bucks. In PA, my expectations are totally different. I try to bring you with my son's hunts, my dad's hunts, and my hunts from PA. I don't want to say I'm not shooting this deer because it's not a 130-inch deer. Okay. Now in Ohio, my expectations are, I want to shoot 130-inch or better, something bigger on my wall that's right there. I want a 130-inch deer or better. That's my Ohio expectation. Okay. Because that can happen fairly easy down there. I haven't done it yet, but it can happen a lot better than it can in PA. So my expectations in PA are get a good hunt on camera for my YouTube channel and hunt a respectable deer and just show the process and get good film and good video for this, for that. I don't want to take a 1.5-year-old 6-point. I'm not going to do that, but if you know what I mean, but expectations, like how are your expectations? And do you think that the industry is sort of getting spoiled with these 10-year-olds going out there on the high fence farms and shooting a 200-inch deer and like nothing? Like, where do you see the hunting industry going? Do you think it's spoiling? Do you think people are just not having as much fun anymore and they're too serious about their hunting? Or can you explain that? And like, what is your,
if you go first on this one?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of gimmickry, if that's a word. There's a lot of gimmicks thrown in here. Someone has, like you said, Ted, there's someone has this gigunda deer out there and they want to get some good advertising. So they call somebody in and say, hey, I got this monster deer, he's at this corn pile every night. Why don't you come shoot it and we'll make a video about it? I think there's a lot of that happens behind the scenes and we don't know it,
Mm-hmm.
and then they show their glory picture on Facebook, with this 190, 200-incher. I don't think those guys that are shooting that are that good. I think there's a lot of that silliness going on behind the doors and you don't get to see it. Now, I know people get lucky, now and then. There are some people that do their homework that do shoot big deer on a regular basis, and that's great. I mean, that is fine. I would rather be lucky and shoot deer like this one and be proud of that rather than someone call me up and say, hey, this is at my in-laws' house and it comes into the corn crib every night. Why don't you come on out and shoot it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not me, not at all. But yeah, I think the industry is very spoiling right now. There's so many gimmicks, so many things out there. You got the scent control this and scent control that, and this flavored this and flavored that, and feeding, baiting, scents. You have all that stuff, and it's all on what you want. It's how your goal, whatever your goal is, and if you achieve it, that is awesome. But I think I think it's all on what you want. And
I think
just try to
it's,
keep it pure.
yeah, I think it's whatever deer makes you happy.
Sure.
If like I was ecstatic with that 9-point, that was by far nowhere near that deer is going to get a skull, and I'm going to put it on a little plaque, or I'll put it in a box downstairs with my other ones. And then once I do my studio, I'm going to put it up. But it's not like, okay, it's going on my wall, but I was very happy. I was very proud of that. It was an awesome hunt. I was excited about it. That's why I took that deer.
Yeah.
It came into the scent. Yep. It worked. I wanted to get all that footage on camera. I did it. It turned out perfect. And I'm happy with that deer in PA. Now, when I go to Ohio, would I shoot that deer? By no means would I shoot that deer in Ohio. I want my expectations in Ohio or a 130 or more. And if I don't get it, I take tag soup. I eat tag soup.
Now, don't get me wrong. If baiting was allowed here in PA, yeah, I'd probably be baiting. And whatever is legal in your area, I would probably I'd be doing that stuff too, you know. But I know for a fact these celebrities on television are getting phone calls saying, "Hey, we got this one."
Well, if you
come
want,
and get
Chris,
them, you know,
Chris, if you want to, you guys, you know, Chris Brackett, he has podcasts. Yeah. Go look him up, Chris Brackett Land Life on YouTube. Look at his podcast. He tells you, because he was on top of the mountain.
Yep.
And then he got in trouble for shooting that third deer and all that in Indiana and all that stuff. And then he lost everything. And he's very humble about it now. And he tells you exactly the industry, what's going on in the industry.
Right.
These guys are.
And I got to add this, Ted, that you are a celebrity now, because I listened to his podcast and they played your phone call question.
Oh, yeah?
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Which one? Was it about the vine?
It's the episode 6, the vampire walk or whatever.
No.
Yeah, a couple minutes into the podcast, they played your phone call. You asking him to explain the vampire walk.
Oh my God, I got to go watch that now, man.
Yeah, it's in the first couple of minutes.
See that, man?
The dude said, he's like, let's take the first caller, and it's like, hey, this is Ted from PA, and I'm like, no, it can't be. Nice. And I rewound it and re-listened to it. I'm like, that's freaking Teddy.
Nice. See, I'm a star. Now I'm going to shoot a 200-inch buck this year, man. I'm going to shoot a 200.
But
and then
he
I'm going to get
really explain it that well, but he tried to answer what it was.
Okay.
But,
yeah, because I was talking. I've been talking about that vampire walk. So he said that. I didn't even know he put it on there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
They replayed your phone call on there because he does that. He takes phone calls.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch that because he has a number to call for the landline. Now, Chris Brackett was a nut in his early days. Like he was shooting everything he could shoot with a bow. I mean, I think he got in trouble for shooting a turtle with his bow because you weren't allowed to shoot a turtle. Like he was like knocking the head off of a turtle at like 50, 60 yards.
Yeah, see, I couldn't stand him before. Okay.
Now he's more humble, Chris.
Yeah, on a personal level.
Yeah,
I couldn't stand him because
a lot of people couldn't because
the arrow affliction, the arrogance, and all that stuff.
Fear no evil,
all that stuff. I mean, I did not respect the man.
I don't even know who you guys are talking about.
Yeah,
but I totally flip it now.
I've never seen any of his stuff or heard of him. I don't.
You got to check him out, Kyle. You got to. Now he's way more humble. He found Christ. He's more humble because of. He says that what he got in trouble for saved his life, like because he was going down the wrong path. Like he was nuts. He was partying and doing crazy stuff. He was on top of the world with like Michael Waddell. He was up in that category where like Jim Shockey wanted to hire him and stuff. And then all of a sudden he got blackballed because he shot a deer that he shouldn't have, or he shot a deer and couldn't find it. Then all of a sudden he shot another one, and then he walked down on this farm, and it's sort of like what Chris said. The people called him up and said, hey, we have this big buck here. We want you to shoot it to make them famous, sort of, and get the sponsorships and the money and all this and film it. And then he supposedly shot this deer and then walked out in the field one day and saw a feeder down the hill that had been baited recently. And then all hell broke loose, and he got in trouble for the baiting, for shooting a third deer, bringing it across the border. He got hit with felonies and everything and lost everything.
Oh, geez. Well, let me tell you, from my perspective, my expectation is I would like to shoot a mature buck.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to put meat in my freezer. So a freezer queen is just fine. A lot of times that's a hunt that makes me happy. It gives me a thrill.
Yeah.
I to this day, and I haven't really, filling my limit every year, blah, 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 blah. I haven't killed a shit ton of deer.
Yeah.
But I have never killed one and I wasn't happy. And I felt dejected about it, or I was disappointed. Like, oh, I didn't want to take this. I've never felt that. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little bit old school. I'll tell you, the deer hunting personality that I really looked up to was Roger Ragland.
Oh, yeah.
And my favorite quote from him, I mean, I love his Jiminy Christmas. But anyway, my favorite quote from him is that, some hunts are for big bucks, and some hunts are for small bucks, and some hunts are for no bucks.
Yeah.
He says, because we all have lives, families, work, life balance, all these things. We have all these things that are in the hopper, and we got to manage them. And we all do it as an individual. Some people are able to carve out more time. Maybe they can travel to 4, 5, 6 different states and do all these out-of-state hunts, and they've set their life up that way. They can do that. Yep. Some people, they hunt their own state. Maybe they only get a week, the rutcation, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Whatever buck comes in front of them, they're going to take it. Yep. And that's perfectly fine. I feel like that's the way it should be. Mm-hmm. The hunting industry certainly doesn't set the bar for me, and I really don't think it should set the bar for anyone. My buddy CJ that I hunt with up in Northwest Ohio, he lives on that 48-acre farm. It's not a big farm, but it's a nice farm. He manages it for deer hunting and makes it really nice. Mm-hmm. It's also adjacent to 490-acre public land. Mm-hmm. So add it all up, he has opportunities at deer year in and year out. Yeah. And you know what? He has harvested 1.5-year-old 6-point bucks, and he's got a 180 on the wall. Mm-hmm. Last year, he hadn't shot a buck in, I think, 4 years. And, like a 115, 9-point popped out in front of him. And he was like, boom, I'm going to take it. Yeah. So he's kind of the same as me. There's no celebrity. There's no one on television that sets the bar for him. He shoots what makes him happy. And that's kind of my approach. I just shoot what makes me happy. I don't need a 100 or a 180 or 200. I'll tell you what, the closest to a 180 that that I know for a fact I was hunting was a buck up in Crawford County. I had access to hunt with a buddy on private land. And I took a decoy out there one day, and this buck came up on me. It was a pre-dawn darkness. I hadn't got to my stand yet. Mm-hmm. All I could do was crawl down behind this decoy and hide. And he's kind of circling me out about 30, 35 yards. And I was able to – it took a long time. Like, it's getting light out and everything. I was finally able to get the decoy set up and crawl to my stand and get in the stand. But he eventually took off. That buck was harvested a mile down the road during gun season, and the guy told Chuck, my friend, what it scored. It was a 176. So that's one instance where I knew exactly what I was trying to get. It was pretty close to 180. It measured 176. And then there's one other time that I think I encountered it may have even been flirting with 200. I had access to private land. This doesn't happen for me a lot, but it happened this one year. The guy that built the house beside mine, he built a barn for a lady, and she had like 45 acres. Mm-hmm. It was the end of a woods. It was a large, like 350-acre woods, 400-acre woods, but she only owned like the end of it, 45 acres. And he asked her for me. So she said, your friend can hunt. So, and just bow season. So I just bow hunted it. And the first day in, I was seeing bucks all over the place. Not all over the place, but you know what I mean?
It was like a gunny hole.
First hunt, and there goes an 8-point that's 120. There goes a 9-point that's probably 120. Yeah. And I'm like, it was also like, it was this time of year. It was the October lull coming full circle. Uh-huh. So I was like, if I'm seeing this on October 12th,
Yeah. What are you going to see in November?
I'm going to be back. I'm hunting this again and again. So it was the peak of the I want to say it was the peak of the pre-rut. They weren't in peak breeding. It was probably about November 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I had 140 inch 10 point come. He was sneaking in on me, right? And I was looking for my opportunity to draw, and he kept looking to the north, and the wind was a southeast wind, but he kept looking off to the north, like he's nervous or reluctant or something. I looked up through there, and it was a typical buck.
Yeah.
It was as wide and as tall and as heavy as I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like a rocking chair, and he was 55 yards away, and there was a big laydown tree on the ground. He was behind it, and he was at 60 yards. And he stuck his nose up in the air, and he just looked. And he stuck his nose up in the air, and he just looked. And I'm like, that joker's got me dead to rights. He is not going to come 1 foot closer.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I've got this 140-10, and 9 times out of 10, nobody would think to draw their bow when they got a 180 to 200 inch buck looking straight at them. But I'm like, this is do or die. I'm either going to shoot this 10 point. That joker is straight downwind of me. He's never going to come a foot closer. I mean, this do or die at time on this deer.
Yeah.
I can't believe these bucks let me do all this. I drew, and I was about to shoot, but there was a branch halfway between me and him.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm going to duck. So I squat about 6-8 inches, and I was about to let it fly, and I noticed there was a branch right in front of my arrow. I had to you're squinting. I had to open my other eye and go, shit, this isn't going to work either.
Yep.
So now I come straight back up out of the squat, and I assume the branch that is halfway out, I'm either going to miss it and hit the deer where I'm intending to hit it, or I'll hit the branch and I'll miss this buck.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I did. I let it fly. It hit the branch and it skipped over him. And that joker just bails. And that great big 10, he blew twice.
Yeah. Gone. Yeah. Yeah. I just think that the fun, it's all about the fun and having, excitement and, but the industry just, their standards, I don't know. Michael Waddell said something about that. He has fun now. He's caught up in that industry thing. And it was like the 200 inch deer. That's the big time. That's where you're getting people calling you and, sponsors calling you now, but that doesn't happen as much anymore because everybody's doing it, but everybody's growing these big deer and calling people in to do that, you know what I mean? And shoot these deer. And it's a lot easier now. What's the next thing going to be? A 300, 400 inch deer,
Right.
These people are growing. So where does it stop? And I just wanted to get your guys' opinions on that to see how you guys felt about the industry and where it was headed to and stuff like that.
My expectations is, that's the biggest one I've ever shot right there. And I have one that's right close to that also on the wall upstairs.
Hey, Johnny.
But hey, Johnny. They put the pressure to you, get this scent and you can shoot this size buck, So if you start using all these
jinx them sense.
If you start using all this stuff, you almost feel obligated to have to shoot something big enough to be able to put on their website or something.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I don't fall for that. Like I said earlier, I would rather shoot 110 to 120, 25 incher every year than wait for that 150 or 160 to come along, because I would get awful bored and just quit if I ate that many tags in a row. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Well, that comes
it
to
takes
what my son. Yeah.
well, it takes the fun out of it for me. You know,
Mhm.
I want to shoot. That's why I shot that deer opening night, that doe. I was itchy to shoot something from last year. I just
Mhm.
loved to hunt, and I wanted to put something in the freezer as soon as I could. That
Sure.
takes the pressure off me too.
Absolutely.
That way, I don't have to go out and shoot, you know, a 70-inch 6-point.
Mhm.
You know, I
Yeah,
don't
I might
have
have
to
shot
do
a maybe an 80-inch 9-point just the other day, and I'm happy as heck with that. I mean, it worked out. I was excited,
Yeah.
you know, like it was. I didn't mind that, you know. I don't
Well,
mind that. Now
for
I'm
Some
gonna
hunts
go.
are for big bucks, some hunts are for little bucks, and
Yeah.
some hunts are
Yeah.
for no
Well,
bucks.
like my cameras, like I haven't checked my cameras yet. I'm gonna go down there tomorrow and pull my camera card and send Chris a picture of 150 class 10-point. You know what I mean? But that's okay because I hunt the land. I posted it. It's like not my land, but I got permission to hunt it. It's a smaller wood lot, and it's like, okay, well, that deer could make it to next year. I doubt it in PA if he's gonna make it. Somebody's gonna shoot it in somebody's yard, probably. That's how it is around there. But it's just there's opportunity, but when I want to take a deer like that, I will wait and take a deer like that. It ain't like I'm pressured to get, like, even having the YouTube channel, like, and sitting here talking to you guys, like talking about 150, 180 class buck. That doesn't mean I'm going out and waiting for them deer. I'm going to shoot a nice deer that makes me happy. And I'm fine with that. Like, I don't claim to be like this massive. That's too small of a deer. I will never tell you that's a small deer or anything. If you're happy with that deer, congratulations. Good, awesome job. I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't put expectations on people. I don't put expectations on myself. My son wanted to get a rack buck this year. That was his expectation.
Yeah.
He had a 6-point 20 yards in front of him. He had a spike, a 4-point. He shot 2 4-points that were like this. Okay. We have him he's just as happy. The first one, he got the skull with a dip on it. The second one's down in the box with my other ones. Okay. Now he said, Dad, I want to shoot one like you. I'm like, well, yeah, I want to shoot one like me too. And, and he's like, I just want a rack. And he had a 6-point in front of him. It was in his ears, really high. Not pretty buck, a 1.5-year-old buck. And he was 20 yards in front of us broadside on that video. And he said, Dad, should I shoot that 6-point? I said, it's early. I said, it's 5:30. You still got an hour and a half. You want to shoot a bigger buck than that, you're going to have to wait. He goes, yeah, I don't want to shoot that one. I want to wait for a bigger one. And when that other buck, it was a 5-point, walked out and he saw the rack in his ears, it looked enormous to him. And it was a nice buck, like whatever for him. And, when he started hyperventilating, I knew that was the buck he should shoot. So I said, that's the one you want to shoot. And he come over and he wasn't in range. As soon as he got in range, my son's heart rate went up and he started breathing heavy. I knew that was the buck for him because it got him excited. I said, go ahead, let him have, you do what you got to do. Make sure this is it. I put off the safety, tried to guide him through that. You could hear in the video him breathing heavy and shooting, and I shot him and go down, you beast, and all this stuff. And he was excited, and that made my whole season. If I didn't get a buck this season, that made my whole season. And that's the reason why I don't hunt that property. I don't hunt my camp like that much. I hunt around here because I can hunt it. I have to go down there for the weekend, or I have to leave the family and go down there, and I can't do that all the time. So I hunt down the road 10 minutes on this property that I have permission for, and that's where I take my deer at. But now with that deer management program down there, and the bucks are getting bigger, we're getting more bucks down there, that's going to be a destination area for me in the future here. But I make those food plots and prep that land because I want my dad and my son to shoot deer from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I wanted to say that I was starting to get really tied up when I started into the YouTube thing, the self-filming part. And like you were saying about you wanted to make content for the channel. And I got so
You
deep
mean
into
pressure?
that.
You mean pressure? The Kyle and I have talked about the pressure of YouTube.
Well, I was getting so deep into that I was passing up deer because I didn't have the camera rolling and stuff like that,
Oh, wow.
and like it was getting to the point where I wasn't liking this no more,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like I think I said last week, Ted, when we got on, I didn't even as much film the doe I shot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even take a picture. I didn't
I
post.
think yeah, because I watched that. You did mention you didn't.
I didn't post any pictures. I didn't film it.
Because you didn't feel like it.
I didn't tell anybody I even shot that doe
Yeah.
until I came on and told it on Ted's live last week.
Mhm.
And not only that, but there were some other, extenuating issues there. But it happened so quick too that I really probably wouldn't have had time to film anyhow. I did have the cameras with me, but I'm getting to the point now where it's like, you know what, I'll shoot first and I'll film second, because
Yeah.
I want it to be fun for me still.
Yeah. And see what now you saying
I'm not
that,
doing YouTube to please everybody with my content.
see, you're saying that though, and in mine, I don't want to say I'm the opposite. I'm really in, but I am doing it for that, and I love that part of it. Like I love the filming and the self-filming part of it.
It got to the point where I wasn't enjoying it anymore.
Yeah, and I enjoy it. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit different for me. If you want to shoot first, camera later, I like the camera first shoot. But if 140 class buck's walking in on me and I don't have the camera or it's going to see me, I'm not filming it. I'm laying it down, and you'll have Instagram pictures of me with
Right.
it.
I enjoy the video part of it, but I think it was March of 2023. I got COVID and I had it for like 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before I got it. I was under the spell of I've got to get a video out this week. Every Thursday, yeah. I got to get a video out. I got to get a video out. I got to get a video out. Well, when I was sick for 10 weeks, I was able to let go. I was a little bit bummed, but okay, I'm sick. I can't get a video out this week. And then it happens the second week. And then I think it happened the third week. And then I was like, well, it's 3 weeks. Whether I'm sick or not, I got to get a video out. Mm-hmm. So I did. And then I kind of went, the channel keeps going. And I'm like, I can let go of that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And what I honestly think one of the best things that I ever did was to let go of that pressure, because I don't know if I'd still be doing YouTube now if I didn't, because it kind of got to me.
Yep.
And now I try to take a little bit more time and put a video together. That doesn't mean it'll be a better video. It'll just make the way the process better.
And it's the way you want it. It's the way you want it.
For example, my first hunt of the year, because of schedule and it being warm when I could get out, I really didn't hunt the first 2 weeks of the season. I wanted to, but when I could get out, it was 80 degrees. It's not even worth it. So my first hunt was October the 12th. I was going to release that video Thursday. Well, Thursday came and gone. Friday came and gone. Today was Saturday. It'll get done, but there's, you know what I mean? I let go of that pressure. It's not a big deal. I'll get that video out when I get it out, and it'll be just fine. YouTube's not going to hit me with any demerits.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, and I don't want to, I'm sort of opposite of that now. I love the YouTube thing, and I love filming, and I love getting it out there for the people. That's just me and my passion. I love it. I do it, and but
do you build them up? Do you have 4, 5, 6 of them in the can?
I have a bunch right now that are there.
To where, if you get to next Thursday and you don't,
I have something to put out.
You always have something.
Now that doesn't happen all the time. When I'm bass fishing and stuff like that, sometimes it doesn't work that way, and it's hard. But there's an off season for me as well, and that's where I put in my bait making and stuff and my videos for that. I fill in, and you guys might think I'm crazy and everything, but I've been consistent for the last 2.5, 3 years, every Wednesday putting a video out. So that's just normal for me to do that and work at it and do that, and that's just in my DNA. I do love YouTube. I like putting out content for people. That's my passion. I love hunting, fishing, and I like doing YouTube. That's all. I don't go out and party with my friends. I don't go out. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do none of that.
You don't have bowling night.
I don't go out and do any of that. I love hunting and fishing and hanging out with the family and camping and going on vacations. It's all I do. It's all I want to do. Now, when I was younger, no. Yeah, I went out partying with my buddies and did all kinds of stupid stuff and stuff like that. But this is my passion. Hunting, fishing is my passion. Now I can put it on and share it with people, and I want to do that. And so I take it really seriously, and I try to put it out there for you guys. So, and I try to do my best at doing that. You know what I mean? And that's just me. Now, if I lose that passion, maybe, if I ever lose that, then yeah, I'll slow down or stop or just do it every once in a while. But I like it so much that I like to put it out there. And that's just me.
Yeah, I've kind of slowed down. I was trying to get 2 videos a week, one being the podcast and something that I would do solo. But I'm to the point now where I'm run down. I'm still sick from August 15th. I contracted bronchitis or something, and I just can't get rid of it. And I'm still to this day spitting stuff out, and they can't figure out what's going on. I'm getting x-rays, I'm getting CT scans, all this stuff, taking blood. Wow. They can't explain to me why I'm still spitting out this yellow mucus,
Yeah.
And we started looking at things, making sure I don't have cancer again and all this stuff. It's like, oh my God, not that I had cancer before, but I've been tested for cancer twice now. And now they're looking at me a third time, making sure that I don't have it. It's been a long battle. I'm wore out. I get up at 3 a.m. I start welding at 4. I weld a 10-hour shift. I get off at 2, and then I'm sitting in a tree stand till 8 o'clock at night because I got a dozen deer standing in front of me, and I don't want to bust them out. You know, I come home, I eat dinner, I go to bed, and do it all over again the next day. I'm to the point I'm just wore out, So YouTube's kind of been on the side for me for a couple of months here. I mean, and the bad part was usually the summertime.
We're getting old.
Well, that too. I just turned 53.
Yoper, the link's up there, buddy.
I told you I hung those 2 tree stands.
Yes.
And so I can cover all the winds.
Hey, give me 1 second, guys. You guys continue. I'll be right back.
I hung both those stands the same day.
Right.
And I was done at I think I started at 9 in the morning and I was done at 2 in the afternoon. I was exhausted.
Wore out.
I was just wiped out. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting old.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just taking a toll on me, all this stuff. And I'm worried. I'm planning on working 7 more years and then partially retiring.
There you go.
I say partially because I could never fully retire. I got to do something.
Right.
But I'm going to get out of the welding industry. At that point, I'll be welding 43 years or something.
Wow.
I already got 35 in, so, and that's where some of my issues are coming from. But, it's just this summer, what I was going to say was summer's usually my best time for videos because I'm doing all that advertising for Domain Seed. You know? Well, we had such crappy weather and drought.
It was a dry summer, the back half,
My plots were crappy. I mean, my clover was great, but I had to keep mowing it I had to mow it every week just to keep the weeds down. And then, when the weeds got out of control from the drought, and I had to spray herbicide then, which I don't like to do if I don't have to, and then the drought thing just hit so hard that my plots weren't even worthy of advertising for Domain. And then we get into September and we finally get the rain, right? And it rained so long that it almost did the opposite effect. It was starting to turn stuff yellow because it was getting too much water.
Oh,
and and now I go over there and I've planted that screening all around my plot. And I walked over there today to go to my stand, and I'm like, the crap finally took off.
That's awesome. Hey guys, real quick, a Yoper's coming up on here with us too, so I'm going to put him up there.
Yeah, it finally just started. The screening's finally over 5 foot now. I can actually walk, some of the spots 5-6 feet. So just in time, it is.
Well, I just wanted to come up and talk to you guys for just a minute because I can't agree more with everything that you've said. And again, I grew up in mid-Michigan. So, and I'm in the Upper Peninsula now, which is basically here, the cover, totally different terrain. No farm, no agriculture, big woods. So really big change from hunting farm fields, fence rows, river bottoms, totally different. And again, everything you guys said about the deer, the food cover, and the water, and then your pressure is what has an adverse effect when you're no longer seeing your deer. And like many of you, I've hunted for years and years, never used cameras, never used bait, just one-on-one. And again, I can't tell you how many times I archery hunted and never even seen a deer. If I seen a deer 100 yards across the cornfield, it was a big deal. But when I moved up here, I live in a place where we don't have porcupines. So I've been here 30 years in the Upper Peninsula. And I also drive our snow groomer in the winter, which we feed the deer in the winter here because they do migrate here. They go to the cedars where it's a heavy thermal cover. So we've got plains, grassy areas, hardwoods, but they do go to the thermal cover in the winter. So they do migrate quite a distance. I mean, actually, I live on an island that is 124 square miles of habitat, and over 40,000 acres of it is public land. So like Chris was saying, today I had 5 beagle pups in my hunting area, and it's amazing how I will stay clear of an area waiting for that exact moment. You're talking winds. I mean, if you bump a mature deer, you bump him, he don't forget that. Mm-hmm. And living in an area where there is so much pressure from everything, bird watchers, hikers, like you said, all of it. Kyle, we've got islands out here that are federal that people hunt on. And a lot of these deer on the mainland, they have no problem swimming out to them islands when all these hounds and different animals get there. But I can tell you, when it gets to the point, like Ted says, I don't party. I don't do that. My passion is in the outdoors. And so a lot of my scouting took place in the spring of the year, looking for those rub lines from last year, not even knowing if that deer was alive, scrape lines, and then monitoring those areas later, creek crossings, marshes, or they'll skirt that marsh, just like Kyle was saying. There's bottlenecks, and again, going from topo maps, well, then when Google Earth came along, guess what? It opened up a lot of venues for us to scout from home, and then move your cursor and put a waypoint there, get your handheld out, drive up and down until you're the closest that you think. You don't have to crawl on your hands and knees to get through the tag alders, the blowdowns. So in the spring of the year, this is what'll change everything for you. When you find one of these. So this is a shed, of course. So because here we don't have porcupines, right? So I start looking in the spring now for sheds. Lo and behold, here's this buck. Probably, I don't know. I'm going to say by the size of the base here, and it varies. If the winters are mild, we have a pretty good antler growth. If the breeding's heavy, of course, that's going to affect his antler growth the following year. So here's the same buck. This is the exact same buck, same side. Funny that the tines would be broke off the same. Let me see if I can't get this better. So here he is, found him the following spring, then started to hunt this deer in December because I knew he was coming in there late in the season. And I actually believe that this deer, so there he is again, same horn. Mm-hmm. There's no question about it that it's the same deer. I can get him straightened up here. And I actually have the matches off of that deer. Yeah. So I have both of them. And then I have one more that matches this right side. And again, it's the hours that a guy spends in the field. I literally have a clothes basket full of deer this size. And a bunch of small ones. More than you can imagine.
Yeah, I want to hunt up there.
Nice ones.
Here's probably one of my nicest match sets right here. And this deer is probably about as good as it's going to get here. Split brows. I'm going to guess this deer by the bases, probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 years old, because they just don't get like
for a big woods buck.
That's very big. And I really think this deer died of old age. I mean, I can locate him in early and then he, like you said, he'd vanish. But here it's so thick, if you bump him, he don't leave. Like you said, he can go up the road an eighth of a mile. If he don't cross and leave a track for you or something, there you have such a struggle to get back on top of those deer again.
Yeah. Or somebody else gets on them. You know what I mean? You push them to somebody else.
Well, even then, it's so thick that you really, again, I can't say enough about really knowing your areas. I mean, knowing every bit of it, that if you've got a square mile, you need to know every trail, which direction it goes, and how they use it during the seasons that they use it. We've got wolves, we've got coyotes. They can sweep through there at night and you don't even know it. And you'll go hunt your favorite spot and think, well, not today. Go back tomorrow because the conditions are right. You have no idea that the wolves swept them right out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But here's another one that's, again, he's an old one, and you just don't see him that often. I've got a lot of deer in the 80 to that 115 mark. And to just physically see one of those deer in the daylight is fantastic,
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for sharing those, Rack. They were impressive as well.
Yeah, it is really impressive. Yeah, see, that's the kind of thing I hunt. I guys say, "Oh, I bet you kill a lot of nice bucks. You plan all that stuff for domain and advertise for them." I don't hunt my food plots. I kill does in the food plots, but I go to a place that I call the mountain. It's like the most terrain topographical place you can find in my area, over top of a river. And I hunt over top of this river. These hillsides go down. There's 100 acres on top. I call it the point, and it drops down to all sides to the river. And that's where I shot both of these animals over my shoulder. I get bears there. I get decent bucks. I mean, for my area. But yeah, it's tough there. It's like you're saying, it's big woods, and you might get one on camera, or you might physically see it with your eyes, and maybe never again.
Yeah, that's right. That's like Yoper said too. Like, it's so thick there. Those deer go in, or they disappear on you. If you don't know your area, you ain't seen him again. You know what I mean? That's just crazy that how good they can just hide when you bump them, or somebody else.
Well, another big issue that we have, and it's not really an issue, it just happens, is that it's called timber management. So when the state comes in here and they mark sections and that area is cut, that opens that area up to new hunters too, and it changes everything. Until that grows back up into like a 6 to 10 year growth, most of it returns in aspen. See, but I mean, then it opens it up. Now you've got edges which perfect, man, if you got edges. But anybody that knows anything about deer hunting hunts edges. So like I said, and we have a lot of people just like you, Chris. We are a tourism-based area, and there have been people coming here in those hunting camps, I mean, forever. And they will come when we have a severe winter kill, I mean, 95, 96, we probably lost 95% of our deer herd. I mean, literally, me and another guy went on a survey with ribbon, and we counted 36 dead deer in 1 square mile. Oh, wow. And that was just the two of us. And I mean, everything. So the winters really, and it took us 5 years to rebuild what I would say a huntable population of animals. So, again, people say, well, shoot your does. And again, I agree with what Ted was saying, that, listen, if I've got 2 or 3 target bucks on an area I am hunting, I don't want to penetrate that enough to. Now, if you're in farm and they're used to the machinery or side by side, and when you can get away with more. But when you're up here in this big woods, man, the last thing you want to do is interrupt. I want to know where I'm going to be before October 1 rolls around. So I'm going to have 20 to 30 different trees prepared that I already know that, okay, this looks good. It's a creek crossing. I'm just going to go in there and sit for the morning and see what happens. And like you said, during the full moon, sometimes I might sit till 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on the temperature of the wind variable. So again, I think, like I said in the chat, I've made every mistake that you can ever imagine Number one, the camera will ruin most people because they can't stay away from it to check that card. And you go in there 3-4 times a week, man, put a big card in there and back off. If he's been there, you'll develop a better pattern by understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, it's been funny that he, during this moon phase or this weather, he showed up more. He showed up 20 minutes before dark on these days. So if you keep a diary, a journal, and they say, well, man, you're getting out of control. Well, again, when you start finding antlers like that, it just made me, like you, it's a passion for me. If I got free time, I'm going to go do that. That's what I want to do. I want to learn. And now I'm to the point where I just enjoy taking my grandkids as much as I hunt myself. You know what I mean?
For sure. I love taking my son out there.
To me is the kick. I've got 4 grandchildren. I've been with every one of them when they shot a buck, and 3 of them was their first deer. So
that's awesome.
You know,
that's what it's all about right there.
I'm just enjoying this season because, like I said, my boy, he'd been sidelined by Crohn's, and he's well enough to go out with me again. So I'm kind of trying to gain back those 8.5 years by, setting them up in a good spot.
You betcha.
It's been a good season so far. He had 2 opportunities and he didn't seal the deal, but he's learned a lot that he had forgotten how you can't move and you can't talk, and it's like learning all over again.
Even with us, the first time in the bow stand, sometimes your anticipation. I used to, when I was younger, I would squirrel hunt because it would kind of settle me into setting for any length of time. And it's a squirrel. I mean, our squirrel season opened first, fox squirrels. So basically I spent a lot of time when I was younger doing that before archery, because there'd be times I'd be fidgety myself. I mean, my God, I'd look and, man, I've only been in here an hour. Well, by the end of the season, I mean, for years and years, the first 5 days of our firearm, we sat, me and 2 of my true hunting buddies, first 5 days, we sat daylight to dark unless you shot something, and you were on your own. We weren't moving out of our stands. We might be 3 miles apart. You know what I mean? So if you shot one, hey, got it. And if you need help, we'll see you at dark. And we just did that for years. And we were pretty successful, but we did our homework. And again, we're not talking big bucks. We're talking 2.5-year-old 8 points, 15-inch, maybe a 16-inch here. And that's typically what you're going to find here. And like you said, if you wait for that big one, you'll go a lifetime. I mean, honestly.
I'd probably quit.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd quit hunting.
All right, one more thing. I am a member of the Michigan Deer Farmers, right? I actually want, my daughter and son-in-law raised white-tailed deer, got into those big genetics, and they were selling them to these hunting ranches. Basically, that's what they did. So the does, they're all bottle fed because you're going to handle them. And he bought big genetics. Well, his biggest buck that he sold was 304 and some change with double drops at 4 years old, 4.5-year-old. And the farm that he was buying from, they had a 1.5-year-old. They won the Michigan 1.5-year-old 199-inch 12-point at 1.5 years. Now, mind you, but like you were saying, I seen when EHD ran through the Midwest, Lee and Tiffany Lakowski was looking through those ranches to come do a film. And you know what they said? We can't hunt here because they didn't have does in there with them bucks. It was all bucks in this big ranch, So you're absolutely correct that, it happens. Noel Feather, I don't know if you guys know who Noel Feather is. Rattled in 2 200-inch deer, and then got caught bringing a deer from another state back, because that's the type of pressure that it'll put on a person to produce when you've got endorsements and you know what I mean? You will do some stuff that the normal guy will not do. So, and like you guys have all agreed, I'm not about, I'd love to shoot a 10-point. I'd love to, but I'm not a trophy hunter. Some of my smaller deer are some of the better hunts than some of my larger deer, to be honest.
For sure.
Well, whatever makes it exciting, absolutely.
Well,
that's right.
That one I talked about earlier had the blind eye. He must have been gouged or something like that. People were like, "Why'd you shoot that deer?" Because it probably was like 110-inch You know, they were like, "Why did you shoot that?" And I said, "Man, that thing put on such a show. How
Mhm.
could I not?
Yeah.
Right.
I'd gathered up like 5 minutes of video previous to shooting it. You know, it came in, it hit my mock scrapes. It was doing lick and branch stuff. It was eating acorns and chewing out loud. I mean, this is all on video. He
Yeah.
roared. He roared on that video, I don't know, 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
Literal roar. You have to go see that video.
That's great.
And then he turned around and did a tree rub right in front of me, and then he stood there like a 3D target, totally just locked up, just staring down through the woods, broadside, blind eye to me. I'm like, this is too easy. I had to do it. It made such a great video. You know, I
Yeah,
torched
and it
that.
was a fun hunt.
I torched that dude, and the video of it was great. I mean, he put on such a performance, and it was just a good video. And the people, I got ridiculed over it. They was like, "Oh, you shot this small," and I'm like, you know what? I do the YouTube thing for fun, not that I like to entertain, but it's not because I'm pressured to shoot something large.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? I
Right,
want them
I
as
agree.
wide. I want them at least as wide as their ears, 15, 16 inches. That would be nice, but something wider than that, that's icing on the cake, man.
Fellas, I think
Well,
I'm going to call it. We've been at it quite a while here.
Yep, Kyle. I appreciate you coming up, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you, Kyle.
Y'all
Thank
have
you.
a good
We'll
night.
see you, bud.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll do it again.
See you,
You bet.
Kyle.
All
Keep us
right.
in the loop.
All right, guys, I'm out of here too, man. Enjoy your
All right.
season and make it fun. Like I said,
Right,
take
man.
a kid
Coming
hunting fishing.
Appreciate
won't
you
regret
coming
it.
up here. Appreciate you
You
coming
bet.
up
Have a
here.
good night,
Thank you.
guys.
Anytime.
See ya.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, you.
Thank you.
All right, man. Well, that was a great
So-
live. Well, go ahead, Chris. What are you gonna say?
So yeah, that was a good discussion going on there.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I appreciate everybody coming out. We have been going on for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, Chris, and I
Yeah,
gotta get
right.
some
Wow.
stuff done. So I'm probably going to end this live here. So
Yeah.
you have
I
any
can't wait.
last minute? You have any last minute thoughts or anything that you want to do?
No, I think we can put that to bed.
Okay.
The
Well, while you're
October
on here,
Lull thing is just, that's a man-made thing. It's a gimmick. I believe that.
yeah, and I'm gonna put on the 5 points here real quick before we end it. How can hunters adapt to the lull? Okay. Move with the deer. Move with the deer rather than staying put in your favorite location. That was one thing that come up. Be patient. Stay patient. Don't push too hard. Be flexible. Try your new approaches. Be willing to abandon your favorite areas, which is tough to do for some hunters.
Yeah, it is.
Like they're in that comfort zone. They like their spot. They don't want to move, but be mobile. And don't be afraid to scout. Know the land and the deer's preferred food sources and cover. So don't be afraid to scout in October as well. Get out there on those hot days when you know those deer are bedded down. Don't go in there and put your scent everywhere in the areas you're going to hunt, but it doesn't hurt to walk around a little bit and see what's going on. And time your hunt. Time your hunt to coincide with the temperature and the high barometric pressure. And I think your success will increase during the October lull. Is what they say. What's up, IL?
I just wanted to remind everybody to please go over and put some watch time in on my videos. Go over and look for that video even that I just talked about. It's I can't remember what it's called. It's something I forget the name of it. Something about a buck roar. But there's a kill shot in there with a lighted knock, and it's all on film, and you could watch this guy put on a performance. And it was a nice little buck.
Cool.
It tripped my trigger, man, so I shot him.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah, I need some of that watch time. Get over there,
definitely
and run some videos. Run some videos, man. I need to rack up that time. I got the subscribers. I just need the time now.
Yep, try to get some people over there for sure. But yeah, man, I'm going to end this live. Chris, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you as always.
Yep.
Guys, thank you very much. Make sure you're hitting that like button, share this out. We appreciate all your input. And thank you for all your comments and stuff. We really appreciate that. So like I always say, guys, take a kid fishing or hunting. We're going to preserve our sport and pass it on to future generations. And we will see you.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.